Last day, Sayadaw explained the mental and physical phenomena and their interactions and how they appear and disappear. If we observe the phenomena the moment they take place, then we are able to distinguish between mind and body, and we are concerned about the relationship, and there's no other or ego involved in it. Only mind and body and their interaction. So there are only the law of cause and effect. Sometimes the physical cause and the mental effect, and the mental cause physical effect, and the physical cause mental cause mental effect, and the physical cause physical effect. For example, when we are carrying out their behavior, like sitting, standing, and bending, and so on, then the desire to do so take place first. Due to that desire, the activity follows. Physical activities follow. So this is a mental cause and a physical effect. And sometimes mental cause and a mental effect. For example, when we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, when we experience the senses, and there is attention is vital. Without attention, mental attention, we cannot experience the seeing, hearing, etc. So this attention is mental cause, and seeing, hearing, etc. are mental effect. And then sometimes the physical things are caused, and mental states effect. For example, when we note rising, falling, or the abdomen, the knowing or the rising or knowing or the falling take place after the rising, falling, or the abdomen. So any mental consciousness cannot take place without objects, sense objects. So the rising, falling in this case is the object, which is the cause of the knowing mind, knowing or the rising or falling. So without rising, there cannot be knowing or the rising, knowing consciousness. Without falling, there cannot be knowing or falling movement. So in this case, rising, falling, or the abdomen is physical cause, and knowing consciousness is mental effect. Sometimes the physical cause and the physical effect, for example, the weather, season, food, etc. When the weather is cold, the mental physical process connected with the cold take place in our body. Similarly with the hot season. In a hot season, we get sweated, sweat come out of our physical body. If we observe the mental or physical process, their interaction or their relationship or as a cause and effect, we are bound to see their law of cause and effect. Then we are able to realize there is only mental and physical phenomena, no other or ego or no creator or universal soul involved in the mental and physical process. Only mind and body, their interaction. Only the law of cause and effect. Then there is no room left for the delusory sense of self. If we practice meditation seriously, observing mind and body, the moment they take place, we are bound to see within a few days. If we continue observing, then we are bound to see the three common characteristics of the phenomena. That is when we see the phenomena, we are able to experience the characteristics of the phenomena. Then we are bound to see the common characteristics of them, such as the anicca, dukkha, and anatta, impermanence and unsatisfactoriness, and non-self. As the anicca, we see the phenomena initially don't exist and appear and disappear right away. Then we realize their impermanence, and then we find them falling victim to the impermanence and unsatisfactoriness, and then we realize that there is no atta or ego involved in the phenomena. So these three characteristics are common to each and every mental and physical phenomenon. So they are called taminya lakkhana, very common characteristics of the phenomena. Just like a cloth, when we buy a clothes, for example, in this country, sarong, when we buy sarong, a new one, we have to check whether there is no spot, whether there is a spot or hole. Then when we examine the sarong, we find 3 holes. Before we find the 3 holes, deformities, we may be attached to the sarong. The sarong is very beautiful and wonderful, and it's a very color also nice, design also very good, and then we feel attached to the sarong. But when we check the sarong, we find the fault in it, 3 holes. Here we are no more attached to the sarong. It's not from the hole. It's we are detached from the whole sarong, whole clothes, because of 3 holes in it. In the same way, when we observe the mind and the body, the moment they take place, we are bound to see, we are bound to distinguish between mind and the body and their interaction and their impermanence and unsatisfactoriness and non-selfness. So that's we find the fault, we find the flaw of the phenomena. Then we are bound to be detached from the whole mind and body process. So there is no delusory sense of self or delusory sense of the permanent or pleasurable is left. We are able to overcome the illusion as a result of the instant observation of the mind and the body process. If we keep on noting the phenomena the moment they take place, so these realization of the 3 common characteristics take place. Mostly the realization of impermanence occur to us. Because we find the phenomena arising and passing away very properly, and then we are able to realize their impermanence. Then the phenomena themselves deny that they are impermanent, that they are permanent. That means they themselves confess they are impermanent. It's just like a defendant or the accused who is tortured or tormented, so that he or she is confessed his mistakes. So in the same way, we have to torture our mind and body by observing them from moment to moment. Then they themselves confess that they are impermanent. Then once we are able to see the impermanence of them, spontaneously we are bound to see their unsatisfactoriness and selflessness as well. So from then on, the anicca Vipassana, the realization of the anicca or dukkha anatta starts. So if we continue noting the phenomena arising and passing away from moment to moment, so our knowledge becomes sharper and sharper, more and more profound. Then we are bound to see the bright light, and sometimes we have the rapture or the joy. Sometimes we may feel our physical body is very light and floating in the air or on the sofa, like a inflated ball. So very luxurious feeling we can experience at that level of knowledge. So then we are we have more and more confidence in the Dhamma and the practice, and the Buddha himself who taught these Dhammas, and then the teachers who help you to practice meditation. So this confidence become more and more strong, and then our viriya also is increased. Much effort, we are able to note the mental and the physical phenomena arising and passing away. Because at this level of knowledge, our viriya and energy is very stable and steady. There's a balance between the viriya and the concentration. So we can observe and note phenomena the moment they take place, without making much effort. And then our knowledge also becomes deep and sharp, deeper and sharper, like a very sharp knife or sword, with which we cut the vegetable very easily. In the same way, where our concentration and mindfulness become sharp, we are able to be aware of the mental and the physical phenomena from moment to moment. Thus, our mindfulness becomes very strong and steadfast. It is called Tupattita. This is a very strong mindfulness, very steadfast mindfulness, through which we are able to be aware of the mental and the physical phenomena from moment to moment. Then our memory also become very powerful. Sometimes we see the past memory. The past memory tend to be clear to us. Sometimes we are expected to see our childhood days and even our past life, because our mindfulness very steadfast and very strong, powerful, so powerful that we are able to see even the past lives. That seeing can be compared with the supernatural power, supernormal power. Because we are able to see even the past life through our steadfast mindfulness. So at this moment, everything, past or present, are very obvious and clear to us. Especially piti, rapture, and pleasure are very prominent at this moment. So it cannot be compared with any sensual pleasure. This type of Dhamma pleasure is much more superior to any sensual pleasure. Before we experience this type of Dhamma pleasure, we may have high opinion on the sensual pleasure. We may look upon the sensual pleasure. When we experience this Dhamma pleasure, Dhamma piti, Dhamma rapture, we may no longer have high opinion on the sensual pleasure. So the Buddha said this type of Dhamma pleasure is much more superior to human or celestial pleasure. So this pleasure is called, the Dhamma pleasure is called rati. It's a unique pleasure. It is really gratifying that yogi experience this type of unique pleasure. So this pleasure is really insatiable. Leads you to the insatiable desire. So it cannot be compared with the sensual pleasure. The sensual pleasure is very often made us sick of pain, because when we use the same things, when we enjoy the same pleasure, later we are bound to feel fed up with the pleasure. Because sensual pleasure is never keep us happy or enjoyable. It's often made us sick of themselves. For example, when we eat the same food every day or day by day, later we are definitely fed up with that food. So similarly with the jewelry or any types of the decoration, same decoration or same jewelry never keep up our pleasure. Later we fed up with those jewelry if we put on them for a long time. In the same way, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, if they are the same all the time, later we definitely tired of them, or we are fed up with them. So we need to seek for another things, another pleasurable object. So all the time we have to indulge ourselves in the one pleasure after another. We have to change one after another. Because a pleasure, sensual pleasure, is not a unique. It need to be changed. This Dhamma-rati, the Dhamma pleasure, is not like that. It is unique. The Dhamma pleasure is alone, can make us joyful. We won't be fed up with the Dhamma pleasure. When we are able to see mind and body, their characteristics and their interrelationship and their interaction, so we are able to experience this type of Dhamma-rati, the unique Dhamma pleasure, which is honored as the Amanuti-rati, the pleasure much superior to the human or celestial one. In Pali, Amanuti Vati. So yogis are bound to experience this type of Dhamma pleasure if he diligently observe the mind and the body, rising and passing away from moment to moment. Then maybe yogi may have the illusion about the illusion of the enlightenment. He may mistake this type of pleasure, Dhamma pleasure, for the enlightenment, or something special connected with the enlightenment. Actually, these are type of objects must be noted. Otherwise, this will be hinder or interfere with our practice. It's just like a very beautiful viewpoint on the long journey, therefore our destination. If we waste our time on a viewpoint on the way before our destination, this is the waste of time and energy. Or we may face with the enemy around. So we should not spend or we should not waste our time seeing or stopping at a viewpoint, how beautiful it may be. We must leave it, and we have to proceed until we reach the destination. So in the same way, we should not be attached to such the remarkable Dhamma retreat, unique pleasure or Dhamma pleasure. We must go beyond that pleasure. So we must overcome the attachment to that Dhamma retreat, Dhamma pleasure, by noting it as it is, so that we can go further until the destination of the enlightenment. So in order to obtain such a Amanuti, or the Dhamma, unique Dhamma pleasure, so there is the 4 requirements. First one is Sonyagara Pavita. The meaning is approaching to the place quiet and peaceful, away from the noises of the cities and town. And the second one is Santa Jada. That our mind must be calm and quiet and peaceful. Mind should not be moved or shaken by the mental defilement. So we must keep peaceful mind. And that one is Jayino. Jayino means in this case Vipassana jhana. So this jhana, where we can be bring about, where we observe the mind and the body from moment to moment. There we can cultivate the strong and penetrating concentration into the objects. So this concentration connected with the Vipassana is called jhana. So when we are able to know the mental and physical phenomena precisely, accurately, this type of penetrating concentration takes place, which is called jhana in Vipassana jhana. So this is the third requirement. And number 4 is Dhamma Vipassana. We are expected to see the mental and physical phenomena rising and passing away from moment to moment. Then we are bound to see their true nature and their impermanence, etc. So that is Dhamma Vipassana, the correct or the right seeing of the phenomena. So these are 4 requirements which can help us to experience the unique Dhamma pleasure, Amanuti. So to any yogi who practice seriously, this Dhamma retreat, this unique Dhamma pleasure usually occur to him or her. So it's better. That doesn't mean it should not be worrying about such a retreat. Actually, this type of retreat is unavoidable to the serious yogi. But what important is, what matters most is not to be attached to that Dhamma retreat or the Dhamma pleasure. Otherwise, yogi will be stagnant there. He or she cannot go further to the destination of the Dhamma. So he should not be attached to the Dhamma retreat, the unique Dhamma pleasure. He must note it, and he or she must overcome it by noting that sensual pleasure, that Dhamma pleasure. Then later, his or her mindfulness and concentration gets stronger and powerful and mature. Then he or she is able to see the phenomena, mind and body, very awful or very fearful. And then we may feel the fearful or afraid of the mental and physical phenomena arising and passing away. Later he or she is bound to feel fed up with the phenomena, or is tired of the phenomena. It can be, in this case, I will give an example of a fisherman. So fisherman, he caught something somewhat like a fish, big fish. He catch something like a very very big fish in the water. Then, which make him very happy. Then he take it out of the water and finds the things, not the fish, but the very poisonous snake with the 3 lines in its neck. So then he is frightened of the snake. So in the same way, yogi, we initially take our mind and body, our life or mental and physical phenomena for something pleasurable or something wonderful. But when we are continuously observing mind and body, we discover these phenomena are not what we think. These are not pleasurable. They're just like a poisonous snake. This poisonous snake may coil us. So we cannot, very difficult to escape from the poisonous snake because it's coil us. So we have to untie the coil of the snake, and with a full effort, we must throw it away. In the same way, when we observe the mind and the body, we are repeatedly, from moment to moment, we are able to see the true nature of the mind and the body. We discern the characteristics of the mind and the body, then our insight knowledge becomes mature. We are bound to see the mind and the body arising and passing away. Then we are feel the awful, fearful. The mind and body and phenomena are awful. We are no longer attached to them. Later, we are able to see the mind and the body, mental and physical phenomena arising and passing away, and then the objects and the knowing mind itself we disappear. Then we are bound to experience the ultimate peace or Nibbana at the first level of enlightenment, the first mega, first intrusion. So when we reach to this state, so when we reach to this state, so when we